Hi there. I'm really glad you're here with me today. Let's just take a breath together, right where we are. You don't have to be anyone but yourself here. And I want to have an honest conversation with you about something a lot of people over 60 go through, but not enough people talk about: depression. Now, before you brush it off with, "Oh, that's just part of getting older," hold on a second, because I want you to hear this loud and clear. It's not. Feeling down all the time, losing interest in things you once loved, waking up with a heavy heart. That's not just aging. That's pain. And more importantly, it's something you don't have to live with. You see, there's this unspoken idea that as we age, we're supposed to accept sadness as the new normal, that we should just keep quiet, carry on, and pretend nothing's wrong. But why? If you had a bad knee, you'd get it looked at. If your eyesight changed, you'd grab new glasses. So, why not take care of your emotional health the same way? Because depression isn't just feeling blue. It can show up quietly, sometimes without you even realizing it. Maybe it starts with losing interest in your favorite hobbies. Maybe meals taste bland. Maybe it feels like the color has drained out of life, and you can't quite figure out why. It creeps in slowly, replacing joy with indifference, energy with exhaustion. And the scariest part, you might not even call it depression. You might just say, "I'm tired," or "It's just been a rough year." But let me tell you, just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal. And just because it's happening now doesn't mean it's forever. Let me share something personal. I once knew a man named George, 74, retired, sharp as a tack. He used to be the life of every barbecue, always telling stories, tending his garden, giving advice about everything from fixing engines to fixing hearts. But then, over time, he changed. He stopped gardening, let the weeds take over. He started watching TV all day, but couldn't remember what he'd watched. When his daughter asked how he was, he'd shrug and say, "Fine, just getting old." But it wasn't age, it was depression. That spark in him hadn't gone out. It had just dimmed, quietly, for too long. And maybe you see a bit of yourself in George, or maybe in someone you love. Sometimes depression doesn't look like sadness. Sometimes it looks like silence, withdrawal, not answering the phone, not looking forward to anything, or losing interest in things that used to bring you joy. Morning walks, baking, music, even your grandkids. It's like life becomes a to-do list, not a gift. And that's heartbreaking, because there's still so much living left to do. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I've been through worse. I should be stronger than this. Or, it's too late for me to change. But none of that is true. Depression doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. And just like a broken arm needs support, a broken spirit does too. You wouldn't tell someone with a cast to just snap out of it, would you? The good news is, once we start naming what's going on, once we stop pretending it's just aging, we can start healing. And that healing begins with compassion toward yourself. It's about listening to those quiet signals your body and mind are giving you: the lack of appetite, the restless nights, the sense of hopelessness that hangs around like a shadow. These aren't just mood swings. They're signs your heart is asking for attention. And here's something else. You are not alone, not even close. Millions of older adults, strong, smart, kind, capable people, feel this way every single day. You might not see it on their faces, but it's there. That's why conversations like this matter, because silence makes depression stronger. But connection, that's where healing begins. So where do we start? We start by being curious, asking ourselves, what's changed? When did I stop feeling like myself? What do I need right now? You don't have to have all the answers, but asking the questions is a powerful first step. Let's be clear. Your best days are not behind you. Joy is still possible. Peace is still possible. Love, laughter, purpose, they're still waiting for you. You haven't missed your chance. You haven't run out of time. You are still here, and that means something. So as we move forward together, take a breath. Let go of any guilt or shame. This isn't about blame, it's about care. You deserve to feel better. You deserve to wake up with something to look forward to. And no matter how long the night has felt, morning always comes. You're still here with me, and that means something. It means you're curious. It means some part of you believes you deserve to feel better, and you do. Let's talk about something gentle but powerful: connection. When you're feeling low, everything can feel heavy. The phone feels too far. The front door feels like a mountain. And the idea of talking to anyone, exhausting. But here's the truth. Loneliness and depression are old dance partners. And sometimes the best way to step out of that rhythm is to let someone else into your day, even if just for a moment. You don't need a crowd. You don't need to throw a party. Start with one voice, a neighbor, a grandchild, the woman at the grocery store who always smiles when she sees you. Let yourself be seen, even in small ways. Those tiny interactions, they're not small, they're lifelines. And you don't have to wait for someone to call. You can reach out too, write a letter, send a message. Just a simple, "Hey, I was thinking of you." You might be surprised who's been missing you too. Sometimes we're all just waiting for someone else to go first. Another step, movement. Now, I'm not talking about fancy gym routines or breaking a sweat. I mean simple, gentle movement. A stretch, a short walk, standing by the window and lifting your arms to the sky. Even that can shift something inside you. When you move your body, even just a little, you tell your brain, we're still in this. We're still going. And your brain, it responds with endorphins, those feel-good chemicals that lift your mood naturally. Movement brings momentum, and momentum brings light. Then there's purpose, the quiet kind. Not the kind tied to your job or raising a family or running a household. That chapter might be over, but the story isn't. Purpose doesn't disappear with age. It changes shape. Maybe now, purpose looks like tending a garden, volunteering at the library, sharing your story with someone who needs to hear it, or simply being a gentle presence in someone's life. I knew a woman, Helen, who lost her husband after 45 years. Her house felt empty. The days felt endless. But one morning, she refilled the bird feeder he had once hung. And the next day, a bright red cardinal showed up. She started waking up early, waiting for it. She began keeping a little bird-watching journal. A few weeks later, she was smiling again. Not because the grief had vanished, but because she had something to wake up for. Sometimes purpose doesn't come with a title or applause. Sometimes it's just feeding the birds or showing up for yourself one quiet morning at a time. And then there's your inner voice, that constant companion. Depression loves to twist your self-talk into something unkind. I'm useless. Nobody needs me anymore. What's the point? But here's the thing. Those thoughts are not you. They're echoes of pain, and you can change them. You don't have to jump to "I'm amazing" overnight. Start small. Replace "I'm useless" with "I'm learning to care for myself again," or "I feel stuck right now, but I'm still trying." Kindness isn't weakness. It's medicine. One more gentle shift, gratitude. I know it sounds simple, but it works. Before you go to sleep, name 3 things that made the day a little lighter. A warm blanket, the sound of rain, a funny commercial. That tiny flicker of joy is a reminder there's still beauty here. And don't forget, structure helps too. Depression blurs time. It makes days melt into one another. So give yourself little anchors. Morning tea, midday sunshine, an evening call. These aren't chores, they're rituals. They bring rhythm, and rhythm brings peace. So ask yourself this: what's one kind thing I can do for myself today? One small act of care. Maybe it's opening the window and breathing in fresh air. Maybe it's calling someone. Maybe it's simply saying, "I'm proud of myself for listening today." Because you showed up, you're still here. And that means hope is too. You know, the older I get, the more I understand that healing rarely comes in big dramatic moments. It arrives quietly, in the gentle, ordinary steps we take each day. A kind word to ourselves, a moment of peace, a little light breaking through the fog. And sometimes the most powerful shift doesn't come from fixing everything. It comes from simply pausing and saying, "I matter, and I'm ready to start taking care of myself." Let's talk about something that affects how we feel more than we realize: sleep. When you're struggling with depression, sleep can become a battleground. Maybe you can't fall asleep at all. Maybe you're waking up before the sun and lying there, exhausted but unable to rest. Or maybe you're sleeping too much but still feeling tired all day long. Whatever the case, it's not just frustrating, it's draining. Sleep isn't a luxury, it's a form of medicine. Your mind needs that deep, restful sleep to heal. It's during sleep that your brain resets, recharges, and clears out emotional stress. So, if sleep's been slipping through your fingers lately, it's okay. Start small, set a bedtime, and stick to it. Turn off the TV a little earlier, dim the lights. Maybe even listen to soft music, or try a calming routine, a cup of chamomile tea, a few slow breaths, a short prayer or reflection. Think of it like tucking your soul in, not just your body. You deserve that comfort. And then there's food, something so simple but so deeply tied to how we feel. Depression can dull your appetite, or it can make you reach for sugar, salt, and comfort food that leaves you even more sluggish. But food is more than fuel. It's communication. It's how we tell our bodies, "I care about you." You don't have to become a health nut or overhaul your kitchen overnight. Just a few nourishing choices a day. Some fresh fruit, a glass of water, a warm bowl of soup made with love can start to rebuild your strength from the inside out. Your body wants to feel better, and your mind will follow. Now let's talk about something tender: grief. The kind that settles deep in your bones. The kind that lingers longer than anyone warned you it would. Grief isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet and heavy, like a fog that never quite lifts. And it's not just about losing someone. It can be about losing your sense of purpose, your independence, your routines, even parts of yourself. But here's the truth. Grieving doesn't make you weak. It means you loved deeply. It means life meant something. You don't have to move on or get over it. You're allowed to carry your sorrow, but you're also allowed, more than allowed, to make room for new joy too. To say, yes, I've lost, but I'm still here, and life still has gifts to offer me. Sometimes we need help finding those gifts again. That's where support comes in. And I know reaching out can feel like the hardest thing in the world. We grew up being told to tough it out, to keep quiet, to be strong. But let me tell you, asking for help is one of the strongest things you can do. Maybe that help looks like talking to a counselor or therapist, someone trained to listen, to understand, and to help guide you back toward yourself. Maybe it's reaching out to a support group or opening up to a trusted friend. Maybe it's speaking with your doctor, not just about your physical health, but about how your heart feels too. Whatever form it takes, you deserve support. Depression doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It means you're human. And like every human, you weren't meant to walk through pain alone. And through it all, please, please be kind to yourself. Some of the harshest things we hear aren't said out loud. They come from inside. I'm too old to change. I'm just a burden now. It's too late for me. These thoughts feel true when you're in the dark, but they are not the truth. So let's try something different. When those cruel thoughts show up, meet them with compassion. Speak to yourself the way you would to a dear friend. Try saying, I'm doing the best I can, or this is a hard day, but I've gotten through hard days before. Or even, I may not feel it yet, but I believe there's still good ahead. One beautiful practice that can gently lift your spirit is gratitude. I know it sounds simple, but it's powerful. When we train our minds to notice what's still good, we slowly start to feel more grounded. Each night, try thinking of just 3 things you're grateful for. A sunny morning, a favorite chair, a smile from someone you love. These little flickers of light matter. They remind you that the darkness isn't all there is. And finally, let's not underestimate the healing power of routine. When days blur together, it's easy to lose your sense of rhythm, but a few consistent habits can bring back a sense of control and peace. Wake up, get dressed, open the curtains, step outside for 5 minutes. These aren't chores, they're acts of care, acts of hope. So let me ask you, what's one small thing you can do today to remind yourself that your life still holds meaning? One gentle step toward joy. Maybe it's feeding the birds, watering your favorite plant, calling someone just to say hello. Or maybe it's simply looking in the mirror and saying, I'm still here and I'm worth the effort. Because you are. You always have been. And if any part of this resonated with you, if it sparked even the tiniest bit of hope, I hope you'll share your thoughts in the comments, not just for me, but for someone else who might be reading, someone who feels just like you do and needs to know they're not alone. You're not broken, you're not invisible, and you're never, ever too old to heal. This chapter of your life can still be rich, meaningful, even joyful. one small step at a time. You've already taken the first one by listening, and that counts for more than you know.